Yeah. Thank you, Ritu. As you all know, every week we are doing one shlok randomly or in sequence, actually. Today's shloka is shlok 114. So if you want, you can chant along. Yanmulam sarva bhutanam, yanmulam chitta bandhanam, mula bandha sada sevyo, yogyo sauya raja yoginam. That supreme, which is the root of all existence, upon which the mind is to stay in contemplation, is termed as sucking in the root. This is to be practiced by Raj yogis. Today we're talking about the 8th sadhana that Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya recommends for nididhyasaks. They have already been through the process of Shravan, that is listening to the Gyan. They have also done contemplation, Manan, and now they are ready to practice nididhyasan. Of course, all this means that they have already qualified for Gyan Yoga. They have already developed their Vivek. They have already mastered Vairagya. They have perfected the 6 inner wells, Shat Sampatti, and they have developed Mumukshatva. Now they are ready for nididhyasan. So what is this 8th sadhana that Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya is recommending for them? This sadhana is called Mula Bandhan. This is actually a yogic practice. You must have definitely heard about it. In yoga, we practice asanas, we practice pranayam, we practice bandhans also, and dhyan also. So bandhans are not that common because, again, in yoga also, it's a slightly advanced practice beyond asanas and pranayam. So these are locks. Bandhans are locks which we practice on certain muscles in the body, and they are basically ring-like muscles. They are called sphincter muscles. And during pranayam, the yoga teacher will ask you to contract that muscle. When you contract that muscle, that particular nadi in that muscle will stop the flow of prana temporarily. And when you have released that lock, the prana flows more vigorously through the nadi and cleanses it. So this is one of the practices of yoga. And over here also, Bhagwan is saying that Raja Yogis practice this quite adeptly. They have got the practice of it. But there is a second meaning, because we are not talking about Raj Yoga here. Here's a second meaning of Mula Bandha. That means Mula also means root, right? Root is Mool, we call it. So the root cause or the Mula Karanam for every problem has to be faced. So there are problems. Everyone has problems. And there are certain things which are the root cause of that problem. Root is Mula, Karanam is cause. So most of us try to solve our problems by superficially dealing with them, instead of going and finding out the root cause of the problem. Simple example I'll give you. Let's say you have a problem of acne. So mostly people will go and put some topical cream. They will put some cosmetic cream and try to get rid of that defect, the acne on the skin. But the root cause is not yet been resolved. What is the reason why this acne has appeared on my skin? So if you go to other forms of medicine, they will go to the root cause. They will not decide of just curing the surface of this problem. They will go, maybe they will say that there is some impurity in the blood, or there's some problem with the diet recommended, the diet that you are following, some root cause is there. So one of the meanings of Mula Bandhan is go to the Mula, go to the root of the problem and Bandha, stop it over there. Deal with the Mula, the root of the problem, to eradicate the issue. So this root cause or Mula Karanam is also applicable to knowledge. So what is the root cause of all our problems? The root cause of all our problems is really avidya. Avidya is the root cause of all issues actually. So the Nidhi Dhyasak, will the Nidhi Dhyasak use this sadhana to come to the root cause of all problems, which is avidya? No, because he has already practiced Shravan. He has already practiced Manan. He has already mastered Vivek. And after mastering Vivek, knowing what is truth and untruth, he has also developed Vairagya for that which is not the truth. He has also perfected his Shat Sampatti. So for the Nidhi Dhyasak, this is not the Mula Bandhana which he has to do. People who are entering into Shravan and Manan will need to practice this form of Mula Bandhan. Yoga practice will take care of the bandhan as in the physical form. Those who are into Shravan, Manan and going into higher practices of Gyan Yoga need to do this practice of Mula Bandhan. Go to the root cause. What is the root cause of my problem? What is the root cause of all our problems? Avidya. So let's deal with avidya, but not the Nidhi Dhyasak. The Nidhi Dhyasak has already dealt with this. The Nidhi Dhyasak also doesn't need to do that contraction of the muscle and passing the prana through. He is already quite pranic in abundant pran with him. So now what is exactly the Nidhi Dhyasak's sadhana here, which Bhagavan is recommending as Mula Bandhana? All right. So here is the third sadhana connected with Mula Bandhana. Mula Bandhana, here the Mula we are talking about is Brahma. Brahma is the root, not of all problems. Here Brahma we call the root of all existence. Everything that exists in this sansar, from where has it come and what is it? What is the mool essence of everything in the world? The mool essence of everything is Brahma. So even if you remember when we have studied the 15th adhyay of Bhagavad Gita, the very first shloka, I will read it out to you. Urdhva Mula Mada Shakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandansi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit. If you remember this shloka, it's very, very popular. The whole world is compared to a huge peepal tree. And this peepal tree is really unique because its roots are originating from the top. Normally roots are in the ground, but here the roots are originating from the top, means the roots are coming from Bhagwan. Bhagwan is the root of this entire peepal tree, and the leaves and the branches and the different parts of the tree are the different life forms, the sadhanas, the mantras, and all this is originating where? In Bhagwan. And this tree is continuously giving this cycle of life and death. So now, how as a Nidhi Dhyasak do you apply this sadhana of Mula, meaning Brahma? So it comes in the shloka, Yan Mulam Sarva Bhutanam. For all bhutas, jivas, for all bhutas, Brahma, it says, is the root. Brahma is the Mula, Brahma is the Karanam for all living creatures, for everything in the world. So this sadhana means the Nidhi Dhyasak has to surrender to this root cause, to this Mula Karanam. How to surrender? What is it exactly that one has to do? The next word comes, Yanmulam Chitta Bandhanam. How to surrender? By restraining your mind, by binding your mind, by uniting your mind, by fixing your mind on Brahma and staying rooted in Brahma. Yan Moolam Chitta Bandhanam. Bandhanam. Unite, root your mind, Chitta, in that Moolam, which is Brahma. So what the Nidhi Dhyasak has to actually do in this sadhana, he has to practice Mula Bandhana by binding his mind to the root of everything, that root is Brahma. See, if there is a tree, and the bigger the tree, the deeper the roots have to go into the earth. If the roots are deep in, even if there's a storm, the tree will not topple down. The tree remains as stable as possible if the tree has deep roots and the tree is fixed firmly with the roots into the ground. In the same way, the Nidhi Dhyasak has to fix himself firmly, root himself firmly in the belief, in the nishtha, in the conviction, Aham Brahmasmi, so that all the storms of life, all the storms of sansar, all the problems of sansar do not allow him to shift, do not allow him to topple over. Topple over meaning fall off the wagon of spirituality. So for a novice sadhak, someone who is just starting in the practice of Gyan Yoga, he has to practice discipline, so that if he practices discipline, he will remain rooted in Brahma. Otherwise, if he is not practicing discipline, his indriyas will take him into the sansar, and without being deeply rooted, his Gyan indriyas and his karma indriyas will scatter him all over sansar. But for a Nidhi Dhyasak, he is already rooted in Brahma, his mind is already disciplined. So, in the beginning stages of the sadhak, developing nishtha is very, very important. If he develops nishtha in Aham Brahmasmi, reminding himself constantly of his goal, reminding himself constantly of his root identity, then his progress will go faster. But this will require effort. This will require effort because the mind is chanchal. The dharma of the mind is chanchalta. So continuously it will dissipate your energy and take you into sansar, with all the 5 indriyas going and getting mixed up with all the 5 vishayas of the world. But as he keeps on that discipline, for a disciple, the very word disciple means that you must have discipline in your life. If you don't have discipline, you can never be a disciple. So in the Nidhi Dhyasak stage, the discipline has already been practiced. The nishtha is already firm. The sadhak is already rooted in Aham Brahmasmi. The mind has automatically become disciplined, and no effort is required to keep the mind steady in that nishtha. And because the mind is rooted in Brahma, the mind remains calm, the mind remains peaceful, doesn't need to run here and there. Vairagya has already been established because of Vivek. So in both the stages, Mula Bandhana is required, disciplining the mind by rooting it in Brahma. In the sadhak stage, it will be effortful. In the Nidhi Dhyasak stage, it will be more easy and spontaneous. Finally, Bhagwan says, Sada Sevyo. This has to be practiced continuously. Sada. You cannot get off this sadhana, you have to always remain rooted, mula bandhana, rooted, remain rooted in that your essence, not the world's essence, you, in who you are. Aham Brahmasmi. Okay? That is the 8th sadhana. Next Thursday, I'll tell you the 9th one. Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Chidarpanam. Jai Gurudev. Thank you, Ritu, for chanting. Thank you, Zoom team. Thank you, everyone, for joining. God bless you all.
Pranama.
Thank you, Ritu.
Thank you, Ritu.
Thank you, Didi.
God bless. God bless everyone.
Pranama. Thank you, Didi.